All right, good afternoon, everyone. I think that's also true for our keynote speaker today, Assemblymember Low. I think everyone has run into him and knows him through so many different ways. And so we're pleased and honored to have you here this afternoon, Assemblymember. And please, what's going on in Sacramento? What's going on in your district?
Thanks, Rick, and good to see all of you. Yeah, truly, I hope you're all staying safe. And what wonderful news to see that school is going to be reopened again, too. The important work that needs to be done, but one that is done safely as well. So kudos and congratulations to you. And to so many, as you have had an opportunity on the introductions, how wonderful to wear multiple hats. Of course, this is the Cupertino spirit, in which we say we're doing A, B, C, and D, and that we're grabbing each other at different events and saying, can you volunteer for this? And can you be voluntold to do that? But that's just the Cupertino spirit. So I appreciate seeing all of you again. And if there are opportunities that we can be of assistance outside of just the Cupertino Chamber, I know that you know where to find us and you will not be shy in letting us know. But I hope you're all doing well. Just very briefly then, because I want to be able to listen and also hear, as you don't want to hear a politician drown on for some time, but I would ask our staffs then to also help put in some of the resources with respect to the state engagement on small businesses and the impact of small businesses. If this team could kindly put into the chat box some resources for small business grants, should you have an interest and opportunity to look at some of the resources that'll be made readily available as well. Oftentimes, we also know that it can be that much more challenging dealing with the state bureaucracy or government. I know, for example, I get a little bit of an anxiety when I think about having to go to the DMV or otherwise. But please know that we are here for you and that our office is in Cupertino. So if we can be of assistance on helping with unemployment, on your DMV or anything else in between, do not hesitate and let us know, because we have been able to facilitate and be successful in getting a live person or an answer to figure out what that problem is. And oftentimes it might be a very simple problem, a wrong social security number, a wrong phone number, or different mailing address. So even the smallest things can have an impact on getting the type of help that we need. So again, specifically, please see us as a resource. Some of the things that I've been working on specifically is around that of mental health, specifically for our frontline responders. You may have seen in many jurisdictions, hero pay for grocery workers, increasing compensation for the hourly workers, those who have been on our grocery stores. We're also then helping to ensure that there is access for mental health, specifically to those who are nurses and are frontline responders in healthcare. So I have a piece of legislation that is geared in that space, Assembly Bill 562, to help ensure that we have the mental health specifically for our frontline responders. As you can imagine, I think the dangers that we have of government is such that we're going to open up again and assume that we're just going to start off where we left off, when the fact of the matter is that we know that we must heal and that address so many of the issues that have occurred as a result of the shutdown on a wide variety of different areas. There needs to be a focused approach on the recovery. So that's something that we're hoping to do. We're also very optimistic in partnership with our federal administration. We in the state of California do not have the luxury of printing money overnight. We must balance our checkbook just like everyday Californians do. So we will look to the federal administration in which they can print money overnight, and hoping that those resources will come to the state of California so that we can also support our local communities as well. So stay tuned for that. And then one of the other pieces of legislation that I'm tackling right now, and I hope that you'll think about this, and I know that our office is in contact with the city of Cupertino for this, but you may recall last August, you may recall that this was during the wildfires. We were still sheltering in place, so you couldn't really go outside. You couldn't go outside because of the air quality, because it was bad air quality due to the wildfires, close to 100-degree temperatures. And in parts of Silicon Valley, in the district I represent in Almaden Valley, you had power, the shutoffs, not during due to the PSPS, during the shutoffs, but due to aging infrastructure. So again, think about this. In Silicon Valley, in California, government, this is a death sentence that we allowed for power to go off to close to 3,000 households, couldn't go outside, 100-degree temperatures, and food spoiling. This is, not everyone has the luxury of going outside to go to Home Depot and buying a backup generator. So when we called PG&E and we said, you didn't do ample notification, you didn't necessarily give the type of compensation or hotel vouchers, cities do not have access to transparency on updating on the grids and figuring out the aging infrastructure. So we need a log to best understand the infrastructure in place. And that's a piece of legislation that I'm tackling right now, which is a very heavy lift to ensure that our utilities are very consumer facing, that it is unacceptable in California that we would have our power out, and that government, state government would not help provide an opportunity, an environment where residents could be safe in this community. So I hope to be able to communicate with you more on this to help ensure that we have the environment that we require and expect with our utilities. And this is in Silicon Valley, the tech hub of the nation, and yet we can't even keep basic fundamental lights on. So that's something we're tackling. But again, long-term investments on infrastructure, the recovery specifically from the pandemic, but I look forward to hearing from you as well. So please let me know some questions or comments or suggestions that you might have on things that we should be keeping apprised of. But it's good to see all of you, and I hope you're doing well.
Well, thank you. Are there any questions for the council member? God, I did it again. Guys, sorry, it's Friday, April, whatever. It's Assemblymember Low. I'm so sorry, Evan. Any questions? I see we've been joined by another elected official, Gilbert Wong. We did introductions, but we missed him. Questions? There's a question, I don't know if you see that, Assembly member, about the bill numbers that associated with your proposed legislation.
Yeah, I'll ask the team then to type that in as well. Thank you very much for that question, Connie.
Great. Other questions for the Assembly member? One thing that has just really come to the fore during the pandemic is the very positive role the state can play in helping us to recover and respond to the pandemic. And I think it's really from being a fairly quiet, I guess, news or headline driven news about what's going on in Sacramento and with the governor. Instead, we see the state really leading the way in terms of economic recovery. We had a presentation a few months ago from the Office of Small Business Advocates, really quite impressive operation. So for anyone involved with the economy and small business, I definitely encourage you to reach out to state officials. And we see there from Lucy, AB 987 for you, Connie. Okay. Oh, there we go. Any other questions for the Assembly member?
I have a question.
I'm sorry, who was that?
This is Rosemary Serio from the Cupertino Sunnyvale League of Women Voters. Hi, Evan.
Hi, Rosemary.
I'm glad that you're working with PG&E. I don't know if you're aware that as energy consumers, we all received a notification from PG&E that they are going to start charging higher rates during peak periods of supply. And I would like to know if that's come up in your discussion. It seems that we're getting charged an awful lot for what we're already using. And there doesn't seem to be much work in the Cupertino area, at least that I see in my neighborhood, with any upgrades or any improvements on lines and so forth.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. I think the question about the burden on ratepayers or customers to take that on, of course, yes, it's absolutely been in conversations directly that I've had with the CEO himself previously, and that is absolutely part of that conversation, that when we think about who should bear the burden, that of shareholders versus that of ratepayers, and being very cognizant of that. As you can imagine, it's very complex given the wildfires and public safety shutoffs. But what I was referencing is actually not due to the weather or shutoffs. It was just due to the lack of investment in the aging infrastructure. And at the same time, Rosemary, by the way, this is all public information. I sometimes get very angry about this, but they just hired a chief customer officer for the utility in PG&E. I'm sure PG&E is also a board member here, so I apologize if there's a staff member. Rick, is there someone from PG&E here?
No, they were on the board, but they got otherwise preoccupied.
Okay.
They're not currently on the board, so go ahead.
Well, I just as I told the CEO of PG&E, I said, you'd want me to be your representative advocating for you as a customer. But get this, ladies and gentlemen, this is public information. The chief customer officer for PG&E, it was just hired. Do you know what the compensation is for this new chief customer officer? $3 million. I kid you not, it is public filing. $3 million. So my conversation was, if you can pay a chief customer officer $3 million, but you can't even get me to you can't even not communicate to residents 72 hours notification when the power is off during a shutdown of COVID shutdown, and they can't go outside, you need to at least 24 hour or 72 hours notification. You need to provide hotel vouchers. You need to communicate. You need to get people online. None of that. And that's my frustration, is that, look, we're sound people, we're reasonable people. But if you just help manage expectations, then we are okay. So that the city of Cupertino, the county, can open up cooling centers, that we can have food provided, that we can be in contact with everyday people who are affected in this area. But we have no certainty. This is unacceptable. So to your point, back again to your point though, yes, very cognizant of that, of the impact to consumers, to customers, to ratepayers, versus that of the shareholders. And again, it is just a slap in the face, especially we've seen the wildfires, and we still remember San Bruno. This is nothing new. So it's just something that I'm just very passionate about, because when you dive in and you see what's going on, you will equally be frustrated. And it's just something that I think is just so offensive, and we just need to be on top of it too. But thank you for allowing me to vent with each and every one of you for a moment.
Evan, can I add one thing to that?
Yes, Tom.
And that's, I'm really concerned about the medical equipment when somebody's really dependent, like wheelchairs and hospital beds and other equipment. When you have this, they're making no, I don't know, any kind of exception, and it's really serious. And it's is that, are you trying to add that into it also, I hope?
Yes, for medical facilities specifically on that of notification. So yes, we're in conversation with them on understanding that of vulnerable populations as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was referencing to, Donna, that think about seniors who may not have readily access to the internet or to be proactive, and you're just going to sit and assume the lights are going to turn on. But you know, again, 100-degree temperatures, you can't go outside. So this is a death sentence and unacceptable for us. So
Yeah.
that's what we'll be championing and trying to make sure that we get some accountability on this. And again, it's with the it's kind of nuanced, but it's the Public Utilities Commission as well too. But I hope you'll join in this effort to say, we as residents of Silicon Valley and Cupertino expect more.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And not nearly as serious as the life-threatening situation that Donna's referring to, but systemically, one of the things we've seen accelerated through the pandemic is the move of small businesses, which the most chamber business members are in fact small businesses. That space is moving to an Amazon-proof space, which increasingly means dealing with perishables. So systemically, we're dealing with more smaller businesses, dealing with more perishables that are in fact more vulnerable to energy disruption. If you're dealing with perishables, you've really only got that 72-hour window to deal with what you have. So thank you, Assemblymember, for that's an important opportunity to push on.
And Rick, if I might, just to close on this, I take this job very seriously, which is I represent the state of California. The buck stops with someone. And if you think about government, what we said to our residents is stay at home because it's not safe because you could track COVID. Don't go outside because of the air quality and it's 100-degree temperatures. Well, how do you survive then? The government is saying, government, this again, I use death sentence. Government is not setting us up to fail. So who's responsible? And that's why I take this very seriously, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to point fingers. I'm going to take responsibility for it. And that's why I'm going to go to PG&E. I'm going to go to the county. I'm going to go to everyone saying, okay, the left hand needs to talk to the right hand. So let's figure this out. And so that's, again, what some things that I've been working on.
Great. Well, thank you, Assemblymember. Is there any other questions?
Rick, this is Gilbert. I had a question for the Assemblymember.
Did you had a raised hand? That's good, because I think we only have opportunity for 2 more questions. So Gilbert, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Assemblymember. As you know, the Stop Asian Hate Crimes are continuing here in the Valley and across the state and across the nation. And even in my hometown that I grew up in Los Gatos, just outside my mom's house on Los Gatos Boulevard, a Filipino nurse was pushed down to the ground, 40 years old, and luckily she reported it to the Los Gatos Police Department. So it really hits near home to me. My question to you, Evan, is that what can small businesses and big businesses can do with this hate crime issue that we currently have?
Thank you, Gilbert. This is the unfortunate realities that we're dealt with, and I'm inspired by so many of you that have taken it upon yourselves to demonstrate the incredible solidarity that we so desperately need right now. Genuinely, that members of our community are being victimized for no fault of them for their own. So we need that type of support. Your question specifically is what we all can do. One is, I think, especially during this pandemic, is support Asian American owned businesses, small businesses alike, female, especially as we come up with Women's History Month, support Asian American women in this regard. But to also check in, the wellness checks you might think is, because of the COVID pandemic, we're not able to see each other and break bread. So please check in on one another, demonstrate incredible empathy, and just call people, just say, look, I see what's going on. I just want to see how you're doing. And by the way, is there anything I can do to help? And just to pause for this moment, Gilbert, while we're talking about this from the lens of the Asian American experience, we know that this is unfortunately the dark history of American democracy, and that we've seen this during Black Lives Matter as well, in which we've all done our part to write letters to the editor, supporting Black-owned businesses, marching in rallies as well, supporting individuals in the criminal justice reform space, propping up and uplifting Black individuals in all places of our society. So I think we have to replicate many of these best practices to uplift a community. But what I think is so important is that many of our, culturally, Asian Americans tend to not want to get out and ruffle the feathers, so to speak. And we like to keep quiet and just keep to ourselves. So there's a fair amount of underreporting that exists because I'll have to say this, there's a stigma and a shame associated with this if you are a victim, and we're fearful of retaliation. We just want to do our part and not be bothered. So I think if we create an environment of deep empathy and love from all of you, that goes a long way. So if you haven't already, write a letter to the editor, support Councilwoman Way and others for this upcoming rally, make signs, bring friends, post on social media. I think there's multiple ways that we can do this, but let's not kid ourselves that this is just a short-term fix. And if we do all of these things, this is going to be done. We know that this is a long journey of American history towards the arc of history and making sure that we have full equality for all people, but it's an unfortunate reality that we're dealt with.
Thank you. We have a couple of hands, and if Larry, you promised to keep it short, I think we can do this.
Great. Great to meet you, Assemblyman Low.
Hi, Larry.
A different topic here, a brief mention. I think our region and our city, we need some help with the Union Pacific Railroad. Cupertino has just done a fabulous job over the last 4 or 5 years with this bike ped infrastructure, and we're going to look back with a lot of pride on what's been accomplished, because it's going to be a role model, I think, for other communities. The big dark hole that our city leaders are struggling with is getting UP to the table. And I think it's a regional issue. And I think we need some higher level assistance from our government representatives, whether it's you or a local senator or supervisor, on and on. But I think we need to lift the visibility and figure out how to get UP to cooperate for these transportation needs that we have in the region, just not in the city. So that's my message, and thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. We'll be sure to have the team also follow up with you as well.
Great. Edward, we didn't get an introduction for you earlier, but welcome.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, super. I switched over to Zoom from the phone. Was trying to come off mute. Thank you, and I'm here representing Solutions ATI. We're a consulting firm based in Cupertino, comprised of 60% U.S. military veterans, and wanted to bring up a different topic here today, and that is it's Autism Awareness Month, and I think it's also Lighted Up Blue Day. And a question for Assemblymember Low is, can we get on the priority on the agenda some action to support severely disabled autistic kids who have been without services for going on a year now? There's a significant impact to these kids, and it may be, and a lot will have shown regression. A lot of workers and families in Silicon Valley will be affected by this, where it would be great if California can extend the supported age past 22 to make up for the regression these kids have experienced over the past year.
Yeah, thank you very much for that comment and suggestion, Edward. I just met with an organization, Parents Helping Parents, another community-based organization in this space who have similarly advocated for that. But that's what I referenced earlier, which was that we can't just get back to normal as if nothing happened, and that we must use the dedicated resources from the state and federal budgets to help support us as well to get out of this. So that's on top of our mind, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's oftentimes those without a voice or those that need the safety net that we require that don't get the type of attention that we need, especially during these times. So let us not just get back to normal as if nothing happened and just reopen completely and be on top of it too. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Lowe, I'm so sorry. We have to get you to your next Zoom meeting.
Well, Mary, just make one closing remark then, if I could, Rick, which is that I thank you for spending the time to have dialogue, because as we see, we can't just rely on government to fix all of these problems, but that we must do upon ourselves as active citizens. There are multiple opportunities for us also to reflect our values, our Cupertino values, with respect to funding for our local schools, with respect to funding for infrastructure, our cities, our the things that we care about the most. So I hope you'll do your part to help amplify this message that if we care about these things, that we need to put the resources towards it and our political will towards it. And we must restore our respect for civic dialogue. And that's why I'm so grateful and appreciative for those of you who are serving in boards and commissions and these community-based organizations as well, because that's what makes us what we are too. And I just say that because it's on top of my mind. We are so polarized right now, not just in state government at the federal level and local. So we just have to do this with intentionality to support each other and remember why we're all here. So I appreciate the time again and looking forward to seeing you in person very, very soon.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad he shared that he really was, I don't know. I shouldn't be facetious because doesn't translate well, but I think anyone who knows the Assemblymember knows how strongly he feels about what he does. And it's such a pleasure and honor to have him here this afternoon. Well, the next item on the agenda, Marissa Spatafor. We have some legislation, some state legislation to discuss.
We do. This is about AB 927, the Community College Baccalaureate. Rick, are you sharing on our behalf the presentation I had sent?
I don't have that, but I can see what I have.
I can do it if you would.
Go ahead.
Prefer.
I have several presentations from Walk by Cupertino, but not from Cienza. Thank you. Go ahead.
We sent it a bit ago, but sorry for the late send of that. Let me go ahead and hit the share screen. And we can show you our presentation here. Something interesting, again, I think that Assemblymember Low had to depart, but here on the call, of course, are two trustees who voted recently in support of this legislation on behalf of the Foothill De Anza Board of Trustees. So I would just ask Trustee Ahrens and Trustee Wong to jump in anytime if you would like to do that as we seek the support of the chamber on that. Again, this is AB 927, the Community College Baccalaureate degree. And for some reason I am having, okay, here we go. This, I think it goes without saying, again, some of this is very basic, but just reviewing the need for this for folks here. Education is critical, to state the very obvious. The high school diploma is never enough. Bachelor's degrees are increasingly required. Again, we're so proud to give the associate degrees, which can be a minimum requirement, and of course, to be tops and transfer, as we keep telling all of you. Finding ways to meet this demand. Again, here are some predictions from the Public Policy Institute of California. A shortfall of over 1 million workers with bachelor's degrees are projected. And clearly the UCs, CSUs just do not have the capacity to meet all of this. And again, community colleges being the best kept secret around in some ways, we hope not a secret. Look at that cost comparison. We love to show you this. UCs are $14,000 a year, CSUs over $7,000. By comparison, if you go to De Anza, it's just about $1,500 a year in fees. So what we are agreeing with is Assemblymember Medina's thinking that community colleges can fill this gap for that affordability reason, for the career training reason. We're right here in your local community, the regional community, for students who do not wish to live elsewhere at school. And this is just an interesting fun fact for everybody today. Almost 90% of all Californians live within 10 miles of a community college. So just a good statistic for you there today. It is actually the case, and the states in red show you this, that more than 130 community colleges in more than half of the states in the nation now offer bachelor's degrees. California being one of those, but right now it is only a pilot program. This program was created in 2014, so 7 years ago. At the time, it authorized only 15 community colleges and only one in a district at the time to grant bachelor's degrees. These are focused on career training programs, and the pilot ends in 5 years. There's an equity issue at play always with our community colleges, with Foothill, with De Anza, that the majority of degree recipients have been first generation students, those with economic concerns, disabled, or military veterans. This is a point of pride for us at the Foothill De Anza Community College District. Through that pilot program, Foothill College did develop a bachelor's degree around its Showpiece Dental Hygiene Associate's degree. And so they have been graduating those students. This actually really is a remarkable program. They have traveled to Central America several times as part of this program and part of community service to give dental care in Guatemala, for example, but also doing that local work of providing a bachelor's degree in the field. So the bill that we're here to talk about today, it authorizes all California community colleges to offer bachelor's degrees. And as before with the pilot, there are some requirements around this. It has to be with unmet regional workforce needs. Colleges still cannot duplicate existing programs at UC and CSU, and must coordinate with our universities here in the state. And certainly for this reason, both are remaining neutral on this bill. They are not in any way opposing it, and there is no opposition on record at this point for this legislation. Again, we have two of our trustees with us today. They approved a resolution in strong support of this legislation, and Chancellor Judy Minor is co-chairing with San Diego, with the Chancellor from San Diego, the statewide support effort. And this might be an appropriate time actually to ask our two trustees, maybe I've missed something, maybe they just would have a comment, either Trustee Ahrens or Trustee Wong. I see Gilbert came off of mute there.
Thank you, Marissa. Foothill College is very proud to be one of the 12 pilot programs to have a 4-year dental hygiene program, and I attended the first baccalaureate graduation, and it's so nice to see 30 women who can get firsthand training and go into the workforce. Our programs that we offer at the community colleges does not go in competition with the University of California or the California State University. And there's always a turf war between our friends over there. But these are workforce degrees like auto tech, dentistry, nursing, manufacturing, computer stuff that De Anza and Foothill College can offer. And what we really would like is not only the chamber support, but folks individually to write to the state legislator like Evan Lowe and others why they should support this and keep De Anza College strong. Thank you, Marissa, for letting me speak, and not sure if my fellow colleague Patrick has anything to add.
Thank you, Gilbert. I'll just make it easy and just say ditto to everything you said. Thank you so much to Vice President Spatafor for the presentation. This is a no-brainer legislation to support, and it's so important also to show that we have the support of the community, because the legislature really wants to see that if they are going to be changing these requirements, that the community really supports this as well. And so really, really excited to support this legislation. And I'll certainly put in a good word for the Assembly member to do as well.
Thank you to both Trustee Wong and Trustee Aaron's. Just in summary here, everything that you've heard from the three of us, it addresses employer needs, this bill, more options for students, more opportunities for students, particularly underrepresented students, programs right here, either in the local or regional community, and the all-important costs are less. So we would request the support of the chamber. There is the first hearing on this bill, the 22nd of this month in the Higher Ed Committee, of which Assemblymember Low is a member. So we just, again, requesting your support today, and thank you for the opportunity to present this.
Great. Well, thank you, Marissa. Are there any questions about the subject? I know this is something that has been happening. This educational realignment has been happening throughout the system. I know people who are working on a new doctoral program at San Jose State. So the educational demands are increasing, and it's wonderful to see Deanza stepping up to meet that demand. I don't know if people have seen, there's an informal survey going on the chat about who has attended Deanza College for yourself or a family member. Can we see a show of hands? Anyone? I think I've been in meetings where as much as 3/4 to 90% of everyone in the meeting has been to Deanza. It's such a wonderful resource. One of the legacy functions of the Legislative Action Committee, as you might discern from its name, has been to recommend the chamber to take positions on legislation. And unless there's any objection from people here, we will go forward with a positive recommendation to the chamber board. Any objections with that? Hearing none.
I don't see any.
Done. That's right. There we go. Who knew that education was so well supported and important in Cupertino? It's hard to imagine. Hard to imagine. Okay, well, great. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you so much. And Patrick and Gilbert, for your service to the community and college. And thank you for being here today. Next item in our effort for a sustainable and thriving community is Walk Bike Cupertino, to talk about building a community for people. What a revolutionary new concept. Well, maybe it's not new, but okay, it's a great concept. And who's up first to talk about that today?
That would be me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you great. Thanks, Byron.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to the chamber. My name is Byron Ravegno. I've lived here for 40 years, and I retired from SRI International, formerly Stanford Research Institute, as the controller and treasurer for the company. Since retiring in 2015, I joined Larry Dean and Walk by Cupertino and the Cupertino Rotary to promote walking and biking in our city. So before I talk about Carmen Bridge, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Helene Davis for a few minutes. I think she has a pleasant offering for you.
Hi, well, thank you, Byron. So I'm Helene Davis. I introduced myself earlier. I am a longtime resident of Cupertino. In fact, I grew up here. But I am a new member of the Walk Bike Cupertino Advisory Council. I am also a former Parks and Rec Commissioner. And I just wanted to note that when I was on the commission, we worked on the master plan, the Parks and Rec master plan for the community. And one of the top things that rose the thing that rose to the top in that master plan was the importance of connectivity in our community by biking and walking along trails that are not on the roads. And these trails would connect us to our civic spaces. And we felt really strongly that this contributes to a better quality of life in Cupertino and for all of its citizens. So the one thing I have been working on as a new advisory council member, I've been working with Byron on a survey of bike racks in the city. And we completed that at the end of January 2021. And so at some point, we're going to come back to the chamber because we'd like to work with the city on putting bike infrastructure such as racks in public spaces, but work with the chamber on putting this infrastructure in with local businesses. And we feel with the increase in biking, especially in our community because of the pandemic, that this would be a good time to do it. So that's something we'll circle back with you in the future, but we are here to talk about something else, so I'm going to pass it back to Byron.
Thank you, Helene.
Byron and Helene, should I share the screen? I do have a copy of the presentation.
Yes, please start with slide 1.
Okay, let's see, is this slide 1?
There's a picture of the bridge. There you go. So Carmen Bridge, pardon the leaf blower noise in the background, the gardener just came. Carmen Bridge is a bike pedestrian bridge over Stevens Creek Boulevard, located at the top of the hill as you head west towards Foothill Boulevard. And this picture is one of the 2 designs preferred by citizens who attended the city-sponsored community outreach in 2019. This is a Tier 1 project in the 2018 pedestrian plan and Tier 2 in the 2016 bike plan. Next slide, please.
Excuse me.
So this is an outline of the topics I intend to cover today. This is a short presentation. So next slide, please. The traffic on Stevens Creek Boulevard forms an impenetrable wall, especially during commute hours. Some days are worse than others, depending on what Waze tells drivers. The only safe crossings are at Foothill Boulevard and Orange Avenue, where there are stoplights. And these 2 stoplights are a mile apart. Next slide, please.
Oops. Sorry, I got ahead here. Is this it?
That's it. That's the one.
Okay.
The solution is Carmen Bridge, which you can see is sketched into the middle of this aerial view. It will reconnect Carmen Road that was severed in the 1960s in order to make Stevens Creek Boulevard hill gradient more reasonable for cars. It connects 2 major neighborhoods, which are home to thousands of residents, and it would provide a safe, grade-separated crossing. It's a logical location since setbacks and rights-of-way are still in existence. Next slide, please. Carmen Bridge will connect 5 parks and neighborhoods. From the top down in the slide, you can see the green area, starting with Varian Park by Stevens Creek School. And then if you go over Carmen Bridge and down to Blackberry Farm, you can go to McClellan Ranch, Deep Cliff, and off the map at the bottom is Linda Vista Park, which has a trail from McClellan that is due to open on May 1st this year. So this creates a major greenway, improving park access from area neighborhoods. Additionally, safe routes to school is a major initiative by the city. The red arrows on the slide show the number of students who could use the bridge to walk or bike to school. The opportunity to safely cross Stevens Creek Boulevard could substantially reduce car trips and related street congestion associated with dropping kids at school. The side benefit is our kids will be more fit by burning calories using their legs instead of burning fossil fuels in cars. Next slide, please. The current status shows the project completed through the feasibility study. That's the second box on the screen there. And that was unanimously approved by the City Council in November of 2019. The design and construction phases remain, and currently Walk by Cupertino is advocating to have council add Carmen Bridge to the capital improvement plan for the 21-22 fiscal year that starts July 1st. This will be decided at the June City Council meeting. Next slide, please. We've accumulated hundreds of signatures on a petition to get this project built. Community interest and engagement remains high, even though the project has been in hiatus since 2019 due to other city priorities. And last slide, please. We have endorsements or in process of getting endorsements from the organization shown. You have supported us during our push to get Regnar Trail built, and we appreciate.
Oh, Byron, can you hear me? I've lost your audio. Can you? Is any? I can't. Can other people hear him? No.
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 Larry, do you want to finish this up?
Sure, unless you do it.
Yeah, I don't.
No, I think Larry, you should do it.
Okay. So our team has been actively soliciting support. And as Byron started to say, the chamber has been very supportive of the city's efforts to make the city safe and easy to walk and bicycle. And most recently, the chamber had endorsed a Regnard Creek Trail, which is longer than we had hoped for, had a longer than we had hoped for a gestation cycle, but successful one. And it's in process now. So we're coming back to the chamber to ask you if you would support this project on our behalf and the community's behalf and endorse it. So that's the purpose of Byron and Helene's presentation today.
Great. Well, thank you. And I don't know what happened. We have, maybe it's that narrow tunnel that Byron's just about to go through right behind him. He was breaking up there a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting because working at a chamber of commerce, people imagine that, we love burning coal and doing all sorts of things like that. And in fact, business, it's made out of people, and if you don't have a sustainable, healthy community, you don't have a sustainable, healthy business. So it's not, in fact, it's hand in glove to having a healthy community is what we're about. And it turns out bicycling and walking these are indicator species for a healthy community. So historically, it's I know this has been something that the chamber has done. Are there any questions about the proposal? I know there was one I had seen earlier. I don't see it right now. What other?
Rick?
Yes, please, Helene.
Well, I don't know if Byron said this, but I think what we are advocating for the council to decide this time is to bring it at least through the design phase. Am I correct on that, Larry, Byron? Not really saying let's get to the end with the construction, but let's go the next step, which is the design phase. We know it takes time to do these things. I could be wrong.
We would like to have it budgeted to go all the way, but realize that the 2022-23 budget will be the one that does that probably.
Okay. Are there other projects that you're aware of that might already be prioritized by the city that would be impacted by the proposal to we're trusting you don't have COVID, Donna. Those are allergies, right? Those are allergies. Okay.
Well, there's always
ahead.
Spring is sprung.
Yeah, okay, sure. Anyway, Larry or Byron or Helene, do you know anything about that?
So the city has many projects on the schedule that are ranked tier 1 through tier 4. And currently for the active projects that they have, this project comes out at or very near the top. One of the major things that the city wants to work on next year is finishing the separated bike lanes on Stevens Creek Boulevard. And that's a major effort that they have, but it doesn't it doesn't conflict with this.
Okay, great. There was we did have a public works director floating around. I won't put him on the spot by asking if there's anything about that. But this is an ask again to our historical role at the chamber. If there's any objections, or if there's a move to not approve this, but that will be considered. Otherwise, this is certainly consistent with the mission and goals of the chamber. So hearing no objections, we'll take just this also to the chamber board. Great. Not a single squeak. God, you guys.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, I could speak up a little bit, Rick, if you'd like me to.
Okay.
Since I am floating around up
You
here.
could do a little reality check here. Come on, you know. Who knew
Well,
bicycles were going to be so popular?
Well, I think we had a feeling about that. You know, all the support that the city gets from, you know, whether it's Walk by Cupertino or other organizations and residents is really appreciated for the projects that we have. You know, we do have a lot of things that are going on in the city right now. We're very fortunate to be implementing many projects, from the Linda Vista Trail, Rignart Creek Trail, Stevens Creek Phase 1 that's been completed. Just to name a few, we'll be starting on Bub Avenue, Mary Avenue, and we're going to be continuing those and finishing those projects up yet this calendar year, early next year. We are going to be presenting our proposed list of projects for council to consider at a May 4th study session. So that's really the main reason why I wanted to speak up, that you know, everyone is welcome to attend that and give council you know, what they feel are the highest priorities, and also to hear what you know, what city staff will be making as recommendations. So I just invite you to attend that on May the 4th.
May 4th. Thank you. Great. Any questions about the bridge before we move on? Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Helene and Byron and Larry. And I did send you a notice. I think Seema, I think, had done an amazing job with the inventory of bike racks, and we've had some conversations, and there's some exciting opportunities actually to code and share those via mobile devices. So that's call me. That's a different meeting. All right. Next item, Angela Sway, are you still here?
Hello, everyone. I will try to make this brief and share my screen, if you don't mind, to share the development
Please.
matrix. Here.
Are you able to share that? Oops.
It is not allowing me. Let me try this again. Share screen. Oh, here we go. Okay. So as I typically do, I go over the highlighted items, and you'll see in gray we have the Economic Development Strategic Plan, but specifically motorized vendor regulations. A study session is planned to go to City Council in May. And again, this item is to discuss, you know, and get direction from council in regards to motorized vendors. So these would be food trucks or any other types of vendors that are traveling in trucks. You know, that's pet grooming, you know, it could be window glass repair, those types of services. And then on the next page, we have Canyon Crossing, and this is a mixed use development project. Plans have been submitted, and the project will be heard for an environmental review committee review, tentatively scheduled for May 6th. Also, the Bird Safe and Dark Sky Ordinance. City Council conducted the first reading in March, on March 16th. And then the second reading is scheduled for next week, April 6th. And if you'd like to see the red line version of the ordinance has been posted on the city's website. So I invite you to take a look at that. It is part of the agenda packet. And then the last item, and this has been newly added to the development matrix, is a 6-cycle housing element. And this is the update for the housing element as part of the general plan pursuant to state law. And this has to be done by January 31st of 2023. So an RFP for the project has been issued, and that is for consulting services, I believe. And then 2 joint City Council, Planning Commission, and Housing Commission study sessions to introduce the housing element update are tentatively scheduled for April 27th and May 11th. And that's what I have for the development matrix updates. And just some other updates for the city. The Big Bunny Fun Run will be occurring virtually starting tomorrow, April 3rd through the 11th. And then we, again, are encouraging everyone to be vigilant about your safety and to continue getting tested. The next free testing will be available in Cupertino at the Senior Center on April 7th. So you can sign up for an appointment. And then also you had watched the council meeting earlier this week. The council work program items discussion has been continued to April 12th. And that's all I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
And Angela,
Yes.
the Canyon Crossing, where is that?
That is on Foothill.
Is that Stevens Creek Market?
The Beta Brothers?
No,
Okay.
that is not. That is, oh gosh, it was the bicycle shop long time ago. And
Oh, okay, well, that's all part of isn't that?
Yes.
Creek?
Yeah, you're right.
Is that the intersection at McClellan?
Yeah.
no, this one is on, it's
Foothill.
Foothill.
Yeah,
So let me,
Foothill address, sure.
That's Stevens Creek Market though, and it had the pizza place next to it. Let's see, the address is,
Against,
no, Canyon Crossing.
so
106.
10625 South Foothill Boulevard.
can someone do a quick search on that to get our parochial orient bearing on that?
I think that has to be Stevens Creek Market. If she said the bicycle
May have.
bicycle shop was the Stevens Creek Market, and then they enlarged it, and then they made that into restaurants and all different things.
Okay,
Let me see if I can look up Stevens Creek.
all right.
Yeah,
Are there
used to
any-
be the bicycle, the Cupertino bike shop was there. That is the
Is that-
property. Oh, you're right. Rick, you did mention it is at the T of Foothill Boulevard and McClellan Road.
Okay, okay. Is Cupertino Bike Shop no longer there?
The market is 10629.
It's still there.
625 is
Okay.
it's still there. That would be probably be the bicycle shop.
That's on the historic
No,
site,
no,
isn't it?
preservation, yeah.
Yeah.
Stevens Creek is closed, convenience stores 10629, and hers, she says 10625.
Okay,
But that whole land was supposed to be built with 18 or 20
okay.
houses.
All right, so that is the area. So it's, the name of the project again was
Canyon?
Crossing.
Canyon Crossing. Okay, now we know what that is called.
Yeah.
Great. Other
Thank you.
questions for Angela? Anything we need to be asking her? Great. Well, thank you, Angela, for presentation. It's good to know things are happening at the chamber where we worked very closely with Angela and city staff, just because especially now we really want to help our small businesses recover. Normal is a poorly defined concept, always has been, but we want to get better. Other community events, I want to come back to Hung, but Connie, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. I had a quick question for Angela, which is this April 6th, there's a housing GPA that's coming up. I didn't see that on your list, and I didn't know when things got put on your list.
Oh, I apologize if it didn't make it on. Was it not that last item that I mentioned?
Oh, maybe I missed it.
I thought it was there. I thought I did see it.
My apologies.
Yeah, April
6th.
It's going to be on April 6th. Okay, what I saw was the 6th cycle housing element, and I didn't see the other one that you're talking about.
I think that's it. The general plan amendment under description.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was more interested in the link to where people would go to sign on to the Big Bunny Fun Run virtually. I know it's happening virtually, but where do I connect? Where do we connect with that?
It is on the city's website. I think it's cupertino.org/Big Bunny Fun Run. But if you go to the main page, they should have the link is there. I'm all signed up and ready to wear my bunny ears and run virtually or just run in place. So I hope you all.
I just picked up my bunny ears yesterday. I'm excited.
You know, it's hard to feel bad about bunny ears, right? When you have those bunny ears on, it's very empowering. There's someone in my neighborhood drives around in a full bunny suit and, once a year, and COVID or not. Thank you. Other questions for Angela? No, thank you, Angela. Speaking of bunny ears, I was going to bring it back to Hung. Yeah. Other events that may be going on, council member?
I got my bunny ears on already. Yes, there are actually quite a few things coming up, but the most important thing is let's get Cupertino City get together, our residents, our organizations. Let's attend the April 10th Stop Asian Hate rally and have a little walk, the walk parade afterward. And I am asking Walk Back Cupertino folks, maybe you can bring your bikes and walk with the walkers, and that'll be fun. So, and then just pay attention to our city website. Our city website has a wealth of information of all the programs, where they are, and the council meetings, commission meetings, Big Bunny walk, ride, hop. So just our city staff has has worked really hard on the website. And if you have any issues, remember to do Cupertino 311. Oh, Angela has to help me. 31. What's that? Anyway, there is something we can do, and then just report city things. So pay attention to our website. We put a lot of work to it, and I think it's underutilized. And so I'm calling everyone to use it, to report things, to get information from the city. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. Hung might actually be a poster child for people who wear a lot of hats in Cupertino. Anyone? That's also, I see no objections to that idea. Well, thank you. So we have coming up on the 10th, another rally at 1 p.m. Show up early. And as speaking only for myself as a bit of a news junkie and a history junkie, I think this is just one of those times where we're reminded, seeing the coverage of the George Floyd trial, people really do feel responsibility for what they allow. However, we're not just for what we do, but for what we allow. And I think we want to we want the very best for our community and neighbors. And so thank you, Hong, for helping to organize that event. And we will also continue to promote that at the Chamber. Great. Any other events, questions, concerns, issues before we move on with the rest of our Friday and our weekend? Hearing none, I will take that as a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to the Assembly member, city staff, Walk by Cupertino. Thank you, everyone. Be safe and stay in touch.
Okay, thanks, Rick. And just last, download Cupertino 311 app. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
download
there
the
we go.
311 app. You can report all issues to Cupertino City.
Great. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks, Rick.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.